All right. Hmm. Okay, so alrighty. Mm, boop. Mm, Give me a second. Trying to see if I can get anyone in here. Stop on yapping when you're alone. Let's try to see if, like, sharing this on. Right. Still at 0 viewers, so hopefully we can get some more soon. And if you guys are watching this while, yes, in retrospect, that's a weird way I do my shading, I guess. Just the 3D stuff. Try to make it transparent, translucent, I guess. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. I guess I'm just gonna do a sort of like assembly line. Coiny and Nickel are relatively simple characters to draw. It's just that they're not exactly. But some of them later down the line I'm gonna draw are gonna be tough. Tough luck. should probably just separate these since it's better to like shade them separately. Can be a pain otherwise. Doesn't look the prettiest when dissected, but hmm. Yeah, okay. So I'm kind of like blocking the color, just getting the general colors out there. I tend to add shading when I'm about done so I can keep in mind the entire body, since that makes it a lot easier to keep everything consistent. And this is So I know probably no one's gonna watch this like when it's live, but I guess I should probably explain what's going on. So as I put in the description, I'm drawing a character to represent each of these each of the six creators who were there at the BFDI / II meetup this year. Carrie, unfortunately, was not able to attend the Chicago showing, but I was able to meet um, Michael Huang, Adam Katz, Rheagan Rizzo, Joseph Pack, Sam Thornbury, and D. Cashin. And as such, I'm deciding to draw a made a character that they voice. Basically, it's a one per show type of deal. Well, it's a one per person, and since we go from Michael, who voices like who voiced at some point a lot of the characters in the show, to someone like Rheagan Rizzo, who only voices Taco. Might as well get into the reasons why I picked the characters that I did. Rheagan Rizzo obviously is the only. Taco is the only character she voices. And also, besides, I really like Taco. So that's for the other ones. Queenie, I picked because he was both in BFDI and II. He was in. I recall he was in that one episode where ode word. Ode of Invitational where in like a cutaway where Blue Moon had him say, "Your social game serves strong," and he was actually voiced by Michael Huang. Nickel, pretty obvious pick. He's in both BFDI and II, competed in both seasons. I'm specifically depicting the BFDI version, and who is less of a goofy goober. Candle, I had a somewhat awkward interaction with the Cashin. They were at the same table as Sam Thornbury, and I was yapping to Sam about how much I didn't about everything regarding that him since he's the current BFDI and II showrunner. Well, he voices characters in II. He actually writes a lot of the episodes for Teapot. And I remember watching his old Object shows, Object Universe and Object Universe, and thinking they were pretty bad. And I remember, and I also told him that I was upset that Fanny was the first one killed in Teapot 19. This was the one. I had already watched Teapot 19 since it was not part of the meetup. I was going to this meetup specifically. And lastly, I was in and I was like, before I took a photo, which I took a photo with all 6. I was like, I like Candle. Nothing against they are a very talented VA. Just that I didn't have as much to say to them. They do voice Marshmallow, Candle, Cheesy, and I think there's one I'm missing. Oh, Clover. Sorry. Yeah, they have a lot of range. But anyways, Taco is the obvious pick. So Anchor, this is Anchor actually from Teapot. TT Guy, Joseph Pack, aka TT Guy 10,000, is one of the current directors of BFDIA and Teapot, and he also animates for II. He voices some miscellaneous characters, but including an algebraian, I think 15. But the only one I'm putting up down is Anchor, since he's since I'm not really that big of a fan of the whole algebraian thing. Thing. God, that's a tongue twister. And I just think that it's kind of a silly concept. And technically, he's the only character that hasn't appeared in II that I'm drawing. And lastly, say Sam T is a pretty obvious one. I mean, there's also the floor, but I thought considering that he in II4 episode 1 was most about safety, I thought it would be kind of amusing if he did that. And this is Window. So Window is the host of Object Universe and Object Universe, both of which were created by Sam Thornbury, and he also made a cameo in the 4th episode of II season 2, where they were making pizzas. And let's just say I hate Window's guts. In a goofy kind of way, he's just very hateable. And to be And I remember, and funny story. So when I was leaving after I took a photo with Sam and Dee, I was like, "Hey, the next time you make an object show, don't include window." And he laughed, and I thought it was being rude. So even as they were ushering me out, going, "Hey," saying, "Hey, you gotta leave," I was like, I'm sorry." He was like, "It's okay," and I finally left. And as a bit of a thing for that, I decided to draw him getting his face, the end result of him getting his face smashed. Don't think, and I don't think anyone cared to save him. I mean, he does kind of resemble the blue type thing they're going for with light bulb and test tube. I can talk about the new iHives. So, I'm specifically not going to spoil BFDI 22 since that episode has not premiered officially yet as the time of recording. But anyways, yeah, I might as well just, since no one is really going to be watching this live unless if something happens, I'm just going to go out on a yap. So I initially started watching BFDI when I was back in 2014. So during the hiatus after BFDI 5E. So I was into marble races at the time, and it kind of led me down a bit of a rabbit hole. Well, if you're well, which eventually led me to watching BFDI and II. Because back when I was remember it was early 2014, so I was about 7 years old, even younger than the creators when they started making BFDI. And around this time, I was a bit of a troublemaker at school. Well, and mom specifically started banning me from certain things because I was they were the catalyst for me misbehaving, which is why I was banned from SpongeBob, I was banned from Clarence, I was banned from Gravity Falls, and I was banned from BFDI for about 3 years. Before then, I was actually so obsessed with the show that I was like, I had memorized the vote totals by heart at some point. And I made little paper cutouts of the BFDI characters and had them compete against each other. Showed pretty much everyone how I did it, etc., etc. So yeah, back when it was a bit of yeah. Obviously, I was too young to really be part of the community in any meaningful way. Remember, back when I was 15, remember it was, or I was too young to do a lot of things. Thanks. However, in 2017, I was eventually unbanned from it, and it was right before for BFDI for BFB started releasing. I remember being a bit turned off by the style of it initially, but I was like, I'll give it a shot after seeing the second episode and being like, oh, this is actually kind of cool, and I decided to keep up with it, and that's how I got back into the community. And in my absence, a lot of shows just started sparked out of nowhere. And I started. I think it was around the 2015 to 2016 era that a lot of the new shows started production. Think of it as like, remember, I think some of the shows I remember watching at least a little bit back before I was banned were Object Overload, for all the objects, and etc. etc. I think I watched Object Universe and Object. Might have watched Object Universe before then. I remember watching Challenge to Win, and BFDI and I were the big boys now. I remember right before he was banned, the 7th episode of of II2 released, and that show was every and that remember watching it with my third grade teacher. But yeah, modern day, I eventually found out Discord and started joining a few object show communities. And admittedly, I wasn't exactly the best actor in any of them. I was an immature teen going into teen who, based on the creators I watched at the time, decided to be hypercritical of everything, right? And it kind of made people hate me. And if anyone remembers that old guy who hated BFB episodes and made top 10 lists of the worst object shows, that was me, and I apologize. It, but yeah, now I only really watch the main ones. So BFDI and II and sometimes I was and my ones I remember watching relatively recently were The Nightly Manor and Papers, Puppets Take Two. Other than that, I'm not really big into any of the other shows in the community. But yeah, ever since I started back back in the show, I will. So back in 2022, so the catalyst of this, I guess. So back in 2024, early 2024, I found out they finally started doing they were doing their countrywide tour of BFDI and II episodes. Initially, I was upset because they didn't ignore Chicago. I recall they did New York, L.A., Houston, or somewhere in Texas. And apparently there was something planned for Denver that was canceled, but nothing for Chicago until then. Finally got the courage to tell my dad about it because I was happy. I definitely wanted to go. Well, the issue was that he was going to Omaha, Nebraska, along with my mom and my sister. So I had to go with my sibling. And when tickets were available, I got a regular ticket. That didn't think the VIP would have been necessary until I figured out fully what it meant. Because like a year later, like when I actually got there, So I was so I was waiting for a long time, and it was a pretty long day. And long waiting period. Right before then, I was like in my parents' home. Like, remember right before then, I was like going to. I did the whole thing where I said every eval contestant's name. And I remember getting in there, and it was. And I remember that day, I got to ride to the venue. To, we got on a train and we went to the venue. The line was super. When we got there, the line was super long, and it was getting longer. I remember the best part was like, oops. Because remember back, and so yeah, back then I was when we got in, I got some merchandise. Got all three plushies, two sticker sheets, and the event shirt. Then I came in, and and then and it was super loud, so I was plugging my ears the entire time. And then I watched the two episodes. Really good episodes, to be honest. Couldn't, don't think there was really much of a chance of me being disappointed in them. Since it was a return of a series that one of them was the continuation of a series I really like, and the second was a continuation of a series that had been off for 4 years. Now I'm seeing it for the first time, seeing it again for the first time. Remember, the song really tripped me, really like surprised me, since I knew there were songs before, but I did not expect a song to go that hard. And I remember during the Q&A yelling, you're on fire," or something along those lines. And that'll be important for later. But yeah, afterwards, Anthony Coase, the creator of Brawl the Objects, he would actually went up and sang two songs, "Hey 2" and "Be a Friend to Me," that song from the Nightly Manor. Or one of the songs from the Nightly Manor. Yeah, afterwards I left. And then I went home pretty much immediately. If you're wondering, no, that Siren was not for me. Yeah, I'll take care of the inner shading later. Getting the major colors in first, as you gotta. I'm gonna spill the tea, sis. My production process is very weird. But anyways, I remember, and so around this time, I just turned 8. So I was in my first year of college, and I found out they were doing this again, which was to be expected, but it was pretty cool. So I went. So this time I wanted a VIP ticket. It took a lot of. I had to rush to. I remember. Excuse me. Remember being done with my classes for the day. It was a Friday, so thankfully I had. Girls spilling the tea. Well, I had to rush to get one since I by the time the announcement came, since I was in currently in the hall in 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 the union building of my height of my college, and I had to rush to my room to order a ticket and get some order the tickets and get it. Thankfully, I got it. I got a VIP ticket, and I was so happy that I literally like ran across the floor of the, my floor. So yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, I was super excited coming in since I knew it was gonna be a good time again. Unfortunately, it did not come off script. The day did not come off to the best start, as I did not get any sleep. Neither did the person who was accompanying me. So we had a very early morning. Unfortunately, the person who was our ride was a bit late, and we had a train to catch. Well, it was very stressful. Thankfully, he arrived just in the nick of time, and we just barely managed to get on before he get on. We managed within a few minutes to get on the train. Doesn't like the train was running away without us, but it could have. Definitely could have. So I'm going to. So we took the train and we ended up up downtown, and we got coffee. We saw the bean. We saw this very weird display, and then we went in line. The line was sort of small, but the first time we went there. However, after a while, it took there were a few oddities in the line. A few interesting things. I got like bubble liquid. There was this guy who said my plush's name in German. By the way, I brought a Fanny plush. I because I like Fanny. Fanny's awesome. She and also I remember hearing at least that someone closer to the back of the line, further down the line, was cosplaying as one and had her contracts. So I remember someone in front of me got one of those contracts, and I was like, "You should sign it." Because as you know, signing a contract from mysterious one creature is always going to go well. It seemed like it was going to start raining and by the time we got in, and then thankfully it didn't rain before we got in. And apparently it rained pretty much the entire time we were there. But thankfully, nothing bad happened that interrupted the show. So because I was a bit tighter on money than last time, I only ended up getting a T-shirt. But that's fine. All right. Two plushes there were the pencil plush and the box plush. So my accompaniment. So this time, me and the person accompanying me got earplugs since neither of us care for the loud noises. Obviously, they were very helpful in getting the since everyone was screaming every few minutes, and it made the viewing experience much more enjoyable. I remember being much closer to the front than last time, since VIP ticket and all. Obviously, if you're a VIP, they yeah, back when. So then I watched the episodes. It's after the like instruction video. So can't go into much spoiler detail about BFDI 22. We'll say it was a fun episode. I would definitely, and it had a few surprises. By the time recording, this episode will come out officially tomorrow, and I think when you guys watch it, it'll be a good time. However, since the II episode has been aired, I will say spoiler warning for II season 4 episode 2. It was also fun. I did like the new direction that they're going to. Do you like the new direction they're going into? No. And the main thing I remember about it was how cute it was when Paper and OJ blushed. The audience loved it when when Paper or OJ blushed. Honestly, it was adorable. Well, and I'm glad we're getting like gay representation, and that isn't into any way that is natural. It's not. And then the Q&A. Hey, I unfortunately didn't get my question answered, even though I was somewhat close to the front of the line. But it's fine. I hear at least that some of the other meetups, the questions were weird, like very weird. But at least the one where I went, it wasn't that bad. There were some weird questions like I think it was is Fanabroni or not, but that's fine. That's weird. It's not like inappropriate or anything. And then afterwards we had a sing along of Taco's Tirade. It was coincidentally the episode that they aired last year. Well, from the episode they aired last year. I apparently heard it helps someone learn calculus, and I didn't need an inanimate taco. I just took the class in high school and used those calculus concepts later. But I went up as the little nerd I was, and showed him who's and got a VIP wristband and finally went in. And I was in. Thanks. So yeah, I actually asked someone if they could take my picture for me, but they actually had someone to do that. If that, so I was good, thankfully. Yeah. So there were three booths, and you were allowed to get two things signed. I got a drawing signed that they made, as well as the poster they had. The drawing was not my best. I made it in a day and kind of rushed it and printed it out. But the poster is something I'll probably hang up on my college room wall. But anyways, I the first two people I met were Michael and Adam. They, this was definitely. I remember talking about how it was actually banned from the show back when I was in eight. It was like 18. I could when I was little, and then subsequently on banned from it. Ironically enough, the person who helped bring me to the event was the person who got me banned from the show in the first place. Did not mention that. It was fair for a fair reason. I was imitating what I saw, and I remember saying that my Fanny was my favorite character. I recall it was actually Gady for a while, but Gady then left the competition and whatnot. I just think Fanny's funny, and that kind of in a way. Hey, I love that. However, and then they said the only and they said that the only way they let me say I hate you is if I said it in Fanny's voice, which I said I hate you. probably not probably not the best imitation right now, but oh well. Looks like you can add that later. And then I moved on to the next booth, which had Rheagan. Oh wait, one more thing. I actually talked about animation about Adam. He actually competed in WoW under his Animation Epic account, but dropped at the third round. He said that his time was short but memorable. And I will say that it definitely was something that arguably the largest creator at the time who was competing dropped. I love Windows. Then his next was Rheagan Rizzo and Joseph Peck. Rheagan Rizzo actually recognized me from me yelling it out, and was like, I'm so happy that someone like did that. I did not expect a year later to be recognized for that, but oh well. Oh, and Joseph Pack, our TT guy 10,000. Oh, one of the things to know him, he's notable for a lot of things, from being the director of being a current director of BFDIA and II, BFDIA and an animator of II, being a previous winner of the Optic Show Camp, the Race of Children, or Truck, being the host of a different Optic Show Camp called Crap That's Cool. Well, I recognize him from his trial performances. Yeah, he actually competed in season 1 and then later season 2 of Trial. He did fairly well for the most part in Trial season 1, and then then got eliminated a few rounds later. No, he got eliminated in round 6. He got eliminated relatively recently in EWOW, fortunately. And the last two were Sam and D. I already talked about the interactions, but yeah, I do find it. And I hate how awkward I was, especially towards Sam and D. Presenting consolation. I'm glad that I didn't seem to hurt his feelings for saying that or anything. But yeah, in retrospect, it was clearly a joke, and I didn't mean to like be rude, and it wasn't interpreted as rude or anything. But yeah, but anyways, the rain miraculously stopped by the time I left. And I went home. I will. Well, yeah, that's pretty much everything else I'd say. Okay, I'll probably finish this some point. Since literally no one's here, I'm probably not gonna do anything else with it. Thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys whenever I post.